Hey, this is Garrett over at Conquest Classic Cars, just doing a quick walk around and startup on our 1967 Chevy C10 3/4 ton here. This truck was owned by the same gentleman for quite a long time. He was a car collector out of West Loveland here. Unfortunately, he just passed away, I think this past spring, and we sold all of his other cars, and this one happened to be his work truck that he used on his ranch, and now it's time to say goodbye to this one. So as far as I know, the mileage is original. It shows 67,000 miles. Pretty much all original interior there. Obviously the seats are in bad shape, but overall just in stock condition, never really messed with. There's the plate there. Excuse the mess, it rained a little bit earlier, so now it's got water spots on it. That's what you're seeing there. Kind of cool rear end with that step side bed, and then the lights mounted onto this panel here. Tires are fairly old. They're not in terrible shape, but they are old, and if you want to drive it quite a bit, I'd recommend replacing them. And to be honest with you, we didn't do a whole lot to this truck when it came in, and it's been sitting for a while, so it runs and drives and decent, but it'll need to be gone through. We'll need a tune up. As you can see though, underside is in great shape. I mean, this is a spot they're known to rust at on the cab corners, and I'm really not seeing any rust at all on this side. So great shape. Rockers are bone dry. Again, on the old C10s and C20s, you'll see a bunch of rust here or bubbles in the cab corners. This one is as solid as can be. So let's go over to the other side and check the same. Yep, solid. You know, even the body mounts aren't in terrible shape. I've seen 67 C10s, I've seen body mounts in a lot worse shape. And all these always, even on nice trucks, I've gone to auctions, crawl up underneath, and these right here are usually completely gone. And same with the one in the back. So that's actually pretty rare to see. Step side bed, all that's in good shape. You gotta, you know, you can see some wetness on the transmission and oil pan there. Pretty typical for something of this age, but man, I'm telling you what, this is the first time I've really gotten underneath this. It's dry as a bone. I'm impressed. Engine wise, let's take a look. It does seem to smoke a little bit on startup. I'm sure this is the original engine that's probably never been rebuilt or anything like that, so it might be a little tired, but it seems to start up good and run. Carburetor probably could use rebuilt. You can see some wetness on the carb there. If I'm looking at that correct, those still might be the original factory chalk marks on the firewall. I mean, it's actually, this truck is just original as can be. Heck, you know, that might even be, can't tell for sure, but that might even be original paint. I mean, there's a touch up there and a touch up there, but I'm looking at the door jambs and everything, and it might just be original paint on this thing still. You know, and there's the original paint there. I can't pull all this stuff up, it's glued down. I didn't realize that, but rubber mats. A little cold-blooded. I just have to nurse the pedal just a little bit when it starts. don't think I've run this thing for a while.
Spicy goodness with spicy.
Radio still works, that's kind of cool. Seems like it runs okay. Like I said, needs a tune up. Seems to idle a little bit low. Let's go take it out for a spin and warm it up a little bit, and we'll check out the idle once we get it back. Let the parts truck go first here. Tell you what, it's not easy driving the old 3/4 ton pickup with manual steering with one hand, but like I said, brakes, it does stop and drive fairly well, but something this old, you know, the brakes don't feel the best, and something this old, like I said, that's been sitting, it's always a smart idea to go through the brake system. Other than that, I'd recommend going through it, changing the fluids on everything, kind of things of that nature. Steering feels fairly good. It's got a little bit of play on both sides, but really not a ton. Even the clutch feels pretty decent. It seems like it catches okay. I'm trying to drive with keep my eyes on the road here. Overall, it's not bad. Transmission seems to shift fine. kind of a granny gear, so I just start in second. You're just driving around town. If you need that extra torque off the line, you can use first. But oil pressure, all the gauges work. Seems like the temperature gauge might not work. That hasn't come off a cold yet, but speedometer, fuel, oil pressure, battery, all that stuff works. It's all original. Honestly, the gauge cluster is in great shape on this truck. Even the steering wheel, despite the paint being rubbed off, is in great shape. I usually see these wheels completely cracked and destroyed at this age. So let's park it up on the front line here and test the parking brake while we're at it. We'll see how. Well, let's try reverse. We'll see how it idles now that we've run it around the block. So brake holds it fine. Yeah, it idles. It's nice and quiet. It's always a cool gauge. Nice and quiet. Barely even hear it's running. Thanks again so much for watching. Again, this is Garrett over at Conquest Classic Cars. Feel free to give me a call at 970-573-5291. Again, thanks so much for watching.